My name is Caitlin Orwig, and when I looked at the list of our options that were available to discuss when it comes to the different populations and dealing with art therapy, the one that stood out to me was a sexual trauma, just because, it can impact anybody from children all the way to adults. It affects children, men, women. So the things I wanted to look at, like the benefits of the art therapy for adult survivors of sexual abuse would be they can gain access to traumatic memories and encourage disclosure. That deals with developmental issues. They reconnect with others through sharing one's artistic expressions, and it raises their self-esteem. So the benefits is really endless, but when I wanted to look at the ones I wanted to mention in the presentation, those were the top ones in my mind. But like I said earlier, the population discussed in the presentation is anyone, whether children, men, women who have been through sexual trauma and who will go through art therapy. So art therapy allows someone to express themselves without someone telling them what is right or wrong. So this can help people who have dealt with sexual trauma to be able to start their healing process. When I looked at the different articles, the one that I looked at that stood out the most to me was the Psychology Today. And so according to Psychology Today, the process of art therapy for people experiencing sexual trauma, quote unquote, takes into consideration how the mind and body respond to traumatic events, recognition that symptoms are adaptive coping strategies rather than pathology. It puts emphasis on cultural sensitivity and empowerment, and it also helps to move individuals from being not only survivors, but ultimately to becoming thrivers. So it helps them to, I feel like whenever they get confronted with it, it can be a really hard memory for them to bring back. But if they, like we've done our activities in class, so I feel like if they just, make like a bridge or whatever, the different activities that they will do, that will help them just to get their emotions out and start the healing process. So it also says that people who are survivors and receive treatment through therapy have said that art therapy is moderately effective in reducing male and female mental health issues surrounding childhood sexual abuse. So by expressing one's thoughts and feelings through creative arts, this can be a superior way to communicate the devastating effects that sexual trauma and abuse can have on someone. This expression can trigger feelings of empathy in an audience. So if someone is reporting what happened to them just using their words, it can hide as much as it reveals. And also, according to art therapy, trauma destroys the inner sense of an other. That is, an inner sense of connection with others, and creative arts expression can reestablish that sense of connection. So when I looked this up, there wasn't really any specific artists that stood out to me. In my handout that I'll bring to class and distribute, there was an image that I found, but there wasn't really any specific artists or anything, but there were a couple images and then a couple different processes that stood out to me as well whenever I was researching this, but that'll be included in my handout too. So, thank you.